Hey, what is up guys? Master here back to do another video, and today I am pretty excited to go over these two replays here. Now there's not going to be one game, there's going to be two. And it's going to be featuring Blue Shard Ravagers. Probably the thing you've never seen in a game of Kane's Ramp before. But not just Blue Shard Ravagers guys, there is more to look forward to in these matches here. And I thought these games are really fun, and you're going to see the power level of these units and what I feel can be done to make them better in my R19 patch update. So I do have a couple of proposals for the Ravager squad in R19. I want them to have a little more range. I feel like that's their biggest Achilles heel. That is just their problem in general. So as you can see, I've got a couple disintegrators here. You're not supposed to do this, but I got an extra squad out here. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. It's a little bit cheeky. I wouldn't do that in an event though. But now that the delay when you're capturing your spikes removed, I just do that to warm up my hotkeys. So I take over the spike. I'm in the middle plateau here, kill the rifle. And I'm going to go ahead and try and take out his tip spike. I didn't want him to capture the defensive tower. Those are hard to remove. And I'm going to do something to this spike that you guys may not know, and that is use a force fire on it in the fog of war. If you force fire a building in the fog of war, your units will go to that building and start, focusing it down. So you don't have to give an order to attack the building when the fog is revealed in that place. Now, the Synths are incredibly good at killing rifle squads. As you see, they're making short work of these rifle scouts. He's drafting more and more of them because he needs to save his tip spike. That's 600 credits a minute for my opponent. He can't afford to lose one of them. And I'm going to use terrain to my advantage here. I know on this map there is a bit of terrain height difference, so I decided to engage up from that just so he can't attack me from maximum range. I can get on top of his infantry and take the least damage. I was able to kill that squad off easily that way. I would like to see more maps in the future with terrain that benefits Scrin buzzers a bit more, because on the original EA Dust Bowl the right spike favored the Scrin faction more and the left one favored the human factions more, because the terrain was a little bit bumpy on the right spike. Made it difficult for units such as rifles to shoot there. Really nice design from EA. I have plans to make maps in the future, though quantity is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for quality. I want to get a map that's really good out there, because we got a bunch of maps that no one really plays, and I want to make sure that I don't repeat the same mistakes that other map makers have made. But of course I have to learn how to do mapping first. I don't have to use most of the features, but obviously I haven't made a good map yet, so it's going to obviously require some practice. Now I did just use the Tiberium Vibration Scan, which is a free support power for Reaper 17. You don't have to pay for it. And you can reveal your opponent's harvesters, refineries, and all sorts of units in it. In a Scrim Mirror you can even reveal Mechapedes, because they contain Tiberium apparently. Very good support power though for Scrin, great for scouting. You can combine that with the buzzer support power to drop buzzers in your opponent's tip field. In the next game you're going to see an even better use of that combination, but no spoilers yet. Dev tank here just to kill any pipples that he had, but he never made any. He's got a bunch of pred tanks here, and of course I'm doing the most unorthodox thing ever with these storm riders. I'm jumping right on top of these pred tanks, and what I've done is I'm sending my Devour tank to his base just to kill the pipples that he's going to begin to make to respond to this. These pred tanks are going nowhere. This is a great pickup from me. He would have to have like 10 or so pipples to counter this. If he feeds pipples in, that would be worse for him, but he's Got all those pit bulls at base, the dev tank taking damage. He's getting healed up by the corruptor, which will prolong the life of the dev. And I see a couple of pit bulls there. I'm going to target them down, pulling the Storm Rider back that I feel the pit bulls may target, just so I can not lose any forces. Pit bulls are out for my opponent. And I have not killed any harvesters, so despite the pred tanks going down, I haven't killed any of his harvesters. He was given time to respond to the Storm Riders. It would have been better for me if he hadn't, and had just if I had just killed his harvesters, but that's not to be, I'm afraid. So plenty of pit bulls are coming out. That's the response to Storm Riders. I really think that Storm Riders is a great thing to do against GDI factions nowadays, because it baits the Firehawks out to go on anti-air loadout, and you can just have them near a storm column if the Firehawks decide to pursue, and then the Storm Riders will get buffed by the storm column, and then you'll have the storm column's attack as well, which almost one-shot kills the Firehawk. I was considering making the storm column one-shot the Firehawks, but then I was brought up a very valid point in that the storm column, if it one-shotted the Firehawks, the splash damage would probably kill like 2 or 3 Firehawks, and that would make it really OP, because I just remembered they do splash damage. This game is pretty wild now. I'm going for Seeker Descent just to kill these pit bulls. He's going to fire my harvest. I've got a emissary as well. I want to make those more armored in the patch as well. A little more armor on those emissaries. The speed, I think the speed is fine as is. Otherwise people will just start using them to scout as they do in 1.03. And I find that weird personally. Harvester will just about go down, but I'm going to pay for it pretty heavily because I'm versus Zocom. Infantry at my base, growth accelerator there. I haven't been putting them down, but as of late, I found them to be incredibly good. They do generate passive resources for you as Reaper 17, so they're a little more valuable for your Reaper 17 than the Skren. Second growth stimulator coming down. Lots of shielded harvesters, and just need to be careful where I go now. I don't have any tank units on this map, a couple shard walkers, but if he had went to tier 3 now, Firehawks, then maybe that would have been an issue for me, though maybe that would have been also a bad idea, because I would have pushed him with all these units. Tech Center comes down, and I'm actually building shard walkers and going for blue shards first. This is not your typical upgrade priority as Reaper 17. One thing I like about blue shard walkers is that the damage is instant, unlike shards where it takes a little while for the shards to arrive the enemy unit. The projectile speed is a little slower than the shard launchers, than the blue shards. Pit bulls coming in, no mortars on those pits. And I got the idea of making a tier 4. Now, there's only 2 uses for the tier 4 as Reaper 17. A lot of players forget about this, but one of them is the mothership, which is why you would build a tier 4. I'm actually going to mothership his expansion and cut his resources off, so he's only on that one field there. And the second use case is the shock pod's support power, where it spawns in 3 veteran shock troopers, which I really like. I feel like it's the most underrated support powers in Kane's Wrath by far, because the main issue with shock troopers is they are too slow and they get scouted. Now, if you spawn in 3 shock troopers right on the front line, then speed is irrelevant because they're already there, and also they have more armor since they're a veteran. They start off veteran. They don't have the disc launcher upgrade, but the regular DPS of them is okay just for killing these pred tanks. That's all I require them to do. I targeted the APCs down quickly, just to make it so the shock troopers are unopposed. There's that shock trooper attack without discs, not too powerful. The fire rate is pretty decent on them though. I imagine if you ever get a heroic shock trooper without discs, it would shoot lightning fast. There is some advantages to that. They don't overkill. So maybe if you don't micro shock troopers very well, the unupgraded ones would do a little better in certain situations, maybe against pit bulls. Shock troopers, in my opinion, also suffer from the same issue as Ravagers. The range not particularly good. So I'm going to go ahead and target this spike. I have not yet summoned in that mothership. Neither one of us have set up an expansion. I'm going to pass by my warp factory, get some repairs on the drone ship, because apparently Scrin Air get repairs near warp factories or warp spheres. I've still got those 3 shock troopers alive. Disintegrators are just cannon fodder, but the shock troopers are a little more valuable for me. They also don't get crushed by pred tanks, which makes them really good in this situation. So those shock troopers are there doing tons of work for me. I'm even considering chucking down another shock pod's support power. It is $3,000, well worth the money. Instant infantry reinforcements on the front line. This army looks huge, and I've got all these blue shardwalkers here which do really well against APCs. So I quickly target down those APCs, and now I have 5 shock trooper squads killing the pred tanks. As you can see, shock troopers unupgraded, forcing back this army. Their support power from my tier 4 was, I was allowed to do that. It simply was no other way there. Mothership gets deployed in his expansion. I'm going to target down these wounded pred tanks. Now those are Zocon pred tanks, so he can't get AP ammo. And one mistake of mine here was not getting the teleport upgrade on my shock troopers. So I just target as many units as I can kill. 2 APCs fall, maybe a third one if I'm lucky. But the shock troopers are falling pretty quickly now. I'm going to probably be exposed in my expansion. Mothership in the expansion field here. I could have targeted his tip field, but I had greater things in mind. I wanted to go for his base. I was contemplating it, but I'm really strapped for cash. I can't afford to put down an infestation hive. Besides, there's a lot of rocket harvesters there. There's a blue shard Ravager actually in that field. He's going to do some really good work killing that pitbull for me, defending my mothership. And now this game is turned into a really weird game. Lots of stuff that you guys haven't seen. I decided to queue a storm call. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the time for that though. And I was like, yeah, he's just going to... He's probably got Tib at his original base. Nonetheless, my tech is about to go down. I'm actually going to sell this tech because I do get a blue shard Ravager, which are really good, as you saw against that pitbull. The DPS is good in that sense. Not good as in they're good for killing other units, but if they have no anti-infantry, your opponent, you can actually kill stuff with blue shard Ravs. So DPS is decent. And look at this APC 4. It's not a joke. They have more armor than the shock troopers. So the APC goes down. 2 of the blue shard Ravagers are left. I'm going to be able to kill the remaining pred tanks with that Ravager squad. And he's even going to go to a veteran. In fact, that was my Disintegrator. Disintegrator is also good. Not as cool, though, as Ravagers. Those are more common. Now, I've set up my expansion. Dutch on the right has also expanded to his expansion field. And I'm trying to deal with these pipples here. Shardwalkers and Ravagers are the name of the game for me. I don't have any of the upgrades besides blue shard launchers, so this is my best option, I think. Lots of Shardwalkers and lots of Ravagers. He needs to watch though, because blue shards are no joke. And those pipples are just driving through that. Harvester may go down for me. He's not going to get it. That's one great thing about the Reaper faction. You get shielded harvesters, which grants them much more health. Well, originally it did. It's just now a shield on them. The tip agitation ability coming in handy there. That's another advantage of the Ravager squad. You know, when these units become more combat effective, that tip agitation I feel may be a bit overpowered. May have to adjust it in some way, maybe revert it to how it was in 1.02, where you need to have all 3 members of the Ravager squad to inflict maximum damage with the tip agitation ability. Nowadays, you can have 1 of the 3 squad members alive, and they'll do the same damage as if there were 3 members in 1.02. That's probably something I'm going to have to do to offset the range increase of the Ravs. It's not going to be a significant range increase, but it's going to be enough to compensate the animation that they have before they start firing. I really like the animation that they have. I just feel like the range could be a little bit more. So I'm going for more Ravagers. I'm going for more Shard Walkers, because Shard Walkers kill APCs really well. If I can kill the APCs fast with the Shard Walkers, the Ravagers can take out his infantry, they can take out his pred tanks. So it's a pretty decent unit. And they also can withstand a lot of cannon damage, so shatter attacks are not going to be able to kill Ravagers. I'm using the tip agitation once more. Pretty good. And also this refinery will fall incredibly quickly as well. That goes down. And I'm going to make a slow march into his base with these blue Shard Ravagers. Damage. You'll see it here. Power plant's going down incredibly quickly. And my opponent has a full expansion at this point. I have Shard Walkers and Shard Ravagers. See a watchtower there, no power, so that's right for taking out. And I was saying in this moment in time, okay Ravagers, this is it, show me what you've got. And they actually did rather well. I killed the pred tank, the APCs all went down. I had to split his army up though with a stasis shield. Wouldn't have handled this engagement better if I had not done that. I've got the reconstruction drone support power as well, because they heal infantry. You can actually heal Ravagers with that. And since Ravagers have a lot of health, it's actually a support power that benefits them greatly. So all these blue Shard Walkers and Shard Ravagers doing as much damage as they can. I see a refinery there though, and I completely forgot that I can kill that with the tip agitation. It's not something you use too often, the Ravager. I was like, okay, let's see how they kill watchtowers. They did decent there. Refinery does fall. I'm not doing too bad here, considering I have Ravagers and Shard Walkers. These units of his are falling. Now, obviously, in a different game where your opponent has a second MCV, then Ravagers wouldn't do nearly as good, because he could just place down watchtowers for days. That would force me then to go tripods. But it does force out a specific style if you build a lot of blue Shard units. And also in my 4K add-on, the blue Shard Ravager has a blue eye stalk, and the claws of the Rav are also blue. In the original game, when you upgrade blue Shards, it only has the tip shard at the back changing color, and that's really it. Pred tank goes down in like half a second there. And now at this point I recognize that I need tripods. I've bought myself enough time to get my tier 3 down, and this was just a fun game to see what I can do with blue Shard Ravagers. So he's still got this huge army just sitting in his base, but he's pretty base contained. He's going to fight it out. He's actually mining from my blue Tiberium field, which sucks for me. I'm going to have to pull those units back and try and see if I can deal with that. I'm mining from his blue tip field. He's mining from mine. And I'm now beginning to start spamming out these Reaper tripods. The shields on the Reaper tripods are cheaper than the vanilla scrin. It's only a minute and $2,000 for the tripod shields for Reaper 17, but you are sacrificing aircraft for that. And it's going to be a slow push here into his base. He's got a heroic slingshot from killing that mothership earlier. And that APC, yeah, look at that. It just died. It just evaporated to the blue shard. drone ship moving across the map. And I realize with all those APM watchtowers there, I'm not going to be able to get in there without heavy ordnance. That's why I'm starting to queue tripods. I've got 4 here, which I feel is enough, especially if you charge them up. Not enough players get the conversion reserves upgrade. Conversion for reserves, for all of you who don't know, is the upgrade that doubles the Tiberium storage capacity of the tripods and the Devourer tanks. Though not many people use it for the dev tanks. MCV moving forward. These harvesters I'm trying to intercept because I don't want him to get blue tip. And I decide I'm not going to take an engagement here because there's going to be watchtowers coming down. And if I lose this army of anti-infantry units, I may not have enough to kill his imp. His imp do have Tiberium field suits. And here we go. Ravagers moving forward. That's another issue with Ravagers. They all move forward. They're the first things to be shot at because they are the ones with the least range. But I did kill some units. Not a great unit for being in the front line. More of a harassing unit. Tripods though will finish the job and all those units will fall. Couple gunwalkers left and that's GG. So that's the first of the games that I want to share with this unit. The second one's going to be more action packed, more close and pretty fun to commentate over. So yeah guys, hope you all enjoyed this one and I'll go right into the next game, so don't leave, stick around. Alright guys, I am back and I am excited to get right into this game here. It's going to be on Tournament Airstrip, my opponent Dirty Dutch once again. And this game is going to be pretty wild guys. I'm excited to share this with you all. Hopefully you have stuck around to get to this one. I always save the best till last. That first game there was more of an introductory game into the Ravager. But this game is going to be real. It's going to be the real deal. So I'm going to start with a couple of these buzzers. Didn't want to take over the spike in the middle because I feel like whoever grabs that wins the game usually. Because if both players try to contest it and one fails to grab the spike and loses his engineer, then yeah, you basically lose the game. So I didn't want to take any risks as far as that's concerned. Plus you never know, he may have like 5 or 6 rifles and at that point buzzers are, well, you're going to need a lot of them. Unless it's maps where the terrain isn't so flat like it is here, you can use the structures to your advantage. Your opponent won't have the line of sight, which he has on maps such as this. Engineer right there. I was looking at these rocks there. I don't think they have a hitbox, or a collision box rather, so they just shoot through the rocks, the infantry. So that spike will be captured, and I'm just going to clean up these scouts here, or as many as I possibly can, so I can conceal anything that I may do on one base. Gives me more options if I know my opponent is not in my base scouting me, and if he's forced to make a pipple early on to scout me, that's cool by me. Now I'm a pretty unorthodox player, so you never know what may be coming out of me. People may like to say that they do, but I doubt it. No one can read my mind. It's unpredictable. And I have a couple of amazing strategies that I want to show you all in the future. I've been brainstorming ideas, theory crafting in this patch here. In the future there may be even more, with the viability of heavy infantry being more. Cyborgs are going to be a thing in the future. More so than now. In particular, the Charged Particle Beam Enlightened. I feel like the pre-upgrade DPS should be a little bit more. The Tip Trooper health a little bit more as well, because they are half as tanky as the Black Hand. Now I understand why they're a little bit less tanky, but a little bit more health for the Tip Troopers wouldn't do any harm. No one really builds them like from the Hand of Nod. If they ever get a Tip Trooper, it's because they sold off some tech building. You get one from the Redeemer Engineering facility as well. That's why people put them in their Redeemer because they get it from their facility when they set it off. No one really keeps that structure around because the hatch has a much longer delay when it opens. So it takes a little bit longer to queue units from that building than it does from a regular war factory. A couple of Shardwalkers coming out for me in this game. Just used the free Tiberium Vibration Scan, a great ability for the Reaper 17. And you see I've got the Icor Seed ready to drop as well. A couple of Shatterer tanks coming in here for the zone operations. Because Zocom's looking to rid the planet of Tiberium, so they're fielding these Shatterer tanks. Unfortunately for the Scrin, they also kill them very, very well. Sad day for that engineer right there. Gets crushed by that Shatterer. Dev tank coming out for me upon seeing the Shatterer. This is just so I can go for my tier 3 and survive until then. But this is not your typical game where I go for freaking tripods. I'm not doing that, guys. No, that's not happening. Not on my watch. So I've got the tier 3. No tripods being queued. What could I possibly have in mind here? Well, I did it last game, but a little later on. Firstly, though, I need to fend off this attack. So I'm going to queue a Storm Column and use the kiting potential of this dev tank to kite the Shatterer tanks. Shatterer tanks look pretty awesome in my 4K mod, by the way, guys, if you're wondering why they look a little bit different. The house color, that is, they're a little bit easier to see. Storm Column gets dropped. Very good for synergizing with my Storm Riders. Storm Riders will heal under that column. And I'm going to be able to use the buff of the Storm Column to kill this Shatterer tank very quickly and withstand an extra bit of damage, which allowed me to not lose a singular storm there. So I'm trading effectively, killed those Shatterer tanks, and I'm now floating a bunch of cash. And now my idea is to build a tier 4 and use a combo that I haven't seen used too often, and it's one of the best in Kane's Wrath in my opinion. And that is using the free Tiberium Vibration Scan in conjunction with the Shock Pod's ability, so I can drop Shock Troopers in my opponent's field without even scouting there. And not only that, I've got my Plasma Disc Launchers at 99%, so I can resume it after the Shock Troopers have shot, and then I can shoot immediately again. So I'm getting 2 shots in the span of like a second by resuming that upgrade. So watch this. Shock Troopers comes in, uses a regular attack, and then I upgrade, and then as you see, it's shot immediately. Didn't have to wait until the recharge time on that attack had happened. I wasn't paying attention though, did lose that to the Zocom Walker Strike. That was bad, but I did kill 2 of the Harvesters. A third does go down there. And I had a couple of Shardwalkers that moved in just to kill any potential hammerheads, because I was thinking it's likely he'll pursue those with hammerheads. So let me set up a trap and send those Shardwalkers in advance. Now the support power that I just summoned in, the Shock Pods, 90-second cooldown. It's already halfway done, guys. Look at that. It's ticking down. That tier 4 is going to provide me with value. I'm going for that Blue Shard once more. Blue Shard Ravagers, because I was like, YOLO, Blue Shard Ravagers. Let's see what they can do in a match like this. So this is the showcase of Reaper 17 Elite Infantry style. One of the least seen in this game. This is an incredibly rare game, and a style of play that we haven't really seen. I've got that Tiberium Vibration Scan ready to go once more. Storm Riders just being a nuisance. I found a Harvester there. I'm going to take this one out. Rockets can shoot up, but their DPS is a little bit low. Bunch of Shardwalkers which are just going to camp in my base. This is the whole point of this strategy. I camp in my base and use these obnoxious support powers and units around the back just to inflict economic pain on my opponent. And I'll use the Tiberium spawning and regrowth abilities of Reaper 17 to get more income from my 2 fields, so I don't have to expand ASAP. Zocom Walkers gets taken out. A couple of Ravagers here with the Blue Shard upgrade. I'm going to be able to use their regular attack and kill the Harvesters. Didn't even have to use Tib Agitation. Watchtower comes down, but I'm just going to immediately target the Harvester in the refinery. It gets destroyed. 3 Ravagers make it out. GDI Airborne now coming in. And I've got the shock pods ability, use the Tiberium vibration scan. Shock pods coming down on those infantry. And yeah, harvesters are going to be taken out. Now I've got the blink packs. The cooldown on the teleport is a lot longer for Reaper 17. The upgrade is also not free, whereas if you play Traveler 59, the upgrade is free. It comes automatically with the Shock Trooper. Plus the cooldown of it is much less as well. So this is one disadvantage of the Shock Trooper. But yeah, you can imagine if it was the same as Traveler as Reaper 17, this strategy that I'm doing here would be insane. I like how they're veteran. So they have more health, more damage. Definitely worth their cost. I used the blink here. Killed the harvester. I decided maybe these shock troopers will survive. They are nice units to have. I brought in the buzzers to force that watchtower to shoot the buzzers instead. One tripod there just standing by. The storm riders as well. And he didn't go firehawks this game. Wouldn't have really mattered. I had such a defense there. Blue shard walkers. Storm riders over a storm column. Those 3 units kill stuff instantly. So the firehawks I doubt would have got any shots off. Shock troopers now just working on these power plants. And these are very frustrating to deal with. It's just these paltry forces. And I realized I need to win these little skirmishes. So upgraded Tiberium field suit rifleman there. I have a lot of health. Storm riders are going to have to help out here. Harvester I see taking blue Tiberium, nothing in it, but I saw it as a free pickup anyway. These power plants are pretty exposed. 3 there, one of which is upgraded. Shock troopers working on that war factory. I've got a bunch of Ravagers now. Sending a shard walker forward just to scout, to see what my opponent could be doing. And I've got the shock pods ability once more recharged. And I've still got the shock troopers alive from before. One of the shock troopers has ranked up. This slingshot is just sitting there. He's going to get taken out. I see a huge massive army coming to me. I'm banking up money so I can use the Overlord's Wrath on my opponent if it's necessary. It's a pretty good support power. If I can use it near my base as well, that's even better. It means he's not going to be reaping the rewards of the Tiberium that spawns. So here comes another use of the Tiberium vibration scan. I dropped shock pods once more on his harvesters, and he's just not expecting this. Guys, how can you expect this? No one has seen this sort of thing. And it's free to use the scan, so you're only paying for the support power. Shock troopers are alive over there, and I was able to retreat with a heroic shock trooper in the top of this map. As you see, a heroic shock trooper still survives. Shock pods almost halfway cooled down again. And it's amazing how no one really saw the value of it. They see the value in Wormhole, but not these annoying, harassing units. On average, I kill 2 harvesters with a shock pod's power, and they survive. I think it's worth it. If you spam it all the time, it just distracts your opponent. And this works with GDI as well, with the Zone Trooper drop pod. But the thing is, the Zone Trooper drop pod takes a while for the pod to land, and then the hatch has to open, and the Zone Troopers have to come out. In the case of Skrin, Reaper 17, the shock troopers just spawn instantly, and you can kill the harvesters right there and then. It only takes 2 shots with the veterancy of them. So I'm moving up here with my assortment of units. Gonna be totally fine if I come up against hammerheads. Shock troopers and blue shard gunwalkers definitely do not want to engage that with hammerheads. Let me tell you that. Unit under attack. I see this as a potential kill. The Marv, he may be distracted, so I thought, let me just see if I can EMP the Marv and take it out. Unfortunately, not to be. And I'm going to take out this refinery with the Ravagers. Harvester falls, refinery falls to those blue shard Ravagers. And I can use that shock possibility once again, but I'm actually pretty happy about the DPS coming down on these units. Heroic shock trooper doing work, something that you don't see, but they rank up pretty quickly. They come out as veterans, so if anything that has a veterancy rank has more chance of going heroic. Hammerhead's just waiting there. He can't really engage this with Hammerheads as much as he'd like to. He just can't. The best he can hope for is just put a bunch of watchtowers down. And I'm meanwhile queuing tripods behind this because I need to deal with this Marv. He's bringing out the big guns, as the Marv would say. I'm just floating some money here because I want to spawn in that power once more. Experiencing a little bit of lag at this point. Do I use my scan to detect his TIV field, or do I... what do I do here? So I think I decided to use the scan. I see he's got some harvesters here. So I just dropped my shock troopers once more. Harvesters will be going down. Another harvester falls. He's going to lose yet another one. So as I said before, you get about 2 harvesters. 2 full harvesters with the shock pods. Really worth it. I kill a hammerhead right there as well. So I killed 2 harvesters and a hammerhead with that support power. Got a huge army responding to this. He's moving into my base now with his. He's probably getting a little bit impatient. Probably doesn't have any harvesters because I've been harassing him non-stop with these units. Stormrider's still alive. They're just doing some recon for me. I decided to bank a lot of money here for my support powers. Scrin rely heavily on support powers. I'm going to drop the Overlord's Wrath on his army. Zone Shatterer does get annihilated by that. Not sure if it was worth it necessarily, but I'll take it. It's money for me. He uses the Shockwave Artillery on my forces. A couple Zone Raiders there, which I was pretty afraid of. I've got Ravagers, and I've got Shock Troopers. I think the Heroic Shock Trooper died. Rest in peace. But I've got a couple Ravagers left over, which is exactly the sort of unit I want to see against Pred tanks and infantry. Can't ask for much more. So those Ravs are going to go ham on these infantry units. And I see harvesters too. Those will get sniped by the TIB Agitation Marv. The moment it comes out of stasis, EMP'd right away and destroyed. And I've got Harvest Tiberium now that I dropped from the engagement. So not only did I use the Overlord's Wrath to inflict damage on my opponent's units, I also have Tiberium at my base. An additional Tiberium field. $3,000 for me once more. I see he's got nothing on his main field. Shock Trooper drop pod once more coming down for me. And I always have the insurance policy of phasing my forces if I do come up against something like this. So I killed all the Pred tanks, used the phase field. The Shock Troopers have killed more of the harvesters. Dirty Dutch must be surely by now running out of harvesters. I've got lots of them myself. Or maybe I lost a couple. I don't know how I've only have 4 of them now. I believe I had 4. 1, 2... Lots of Tiberium coming down for me. I need to get several more of them out. I think he's been killing my harvesters as well. Or he killed them with Zoka Morkers previously. Nonetheless, Shock Troopers killing the harvesters that he has left over. And this is probably the highlight of this video, more so than maybe the Ravager squads. But I'll make it about the Ravager squads, because they were just as awesome. Infestation Hive as well, just so I can maybe kill this Rifleman, but I think they take less damage from TIB Infestation, if I recall correctly. Maybe they have resistance to it, don't know. I think they just have resistance to standing in Tiberium, but if there's a TIB Infestation, then they will start taking damage. Yeah, I've got 4 harvesters. I'm building a warp sphere now. And Shock Troopers ready to go once more. Am I really going to abuse him even more with the shock pods? It's just free damage. I need to get a scout off in his base. The Tiberium Vibration Scan has the same cooldown for Reaper as Scrin. But it is free. Shock Trooper, though, still alive for me. He's going to chase back this one tripod. There's 2 Ravagers moving in for me with blue shards. If unanswered, will do huge damage to harvesters. For one, I'll be able to snipe one right away. And then the regular damage just will kill the harvester just as quickly. So these harvesters didn't really harvest anything. There's another harvester out there for me. I sniped the harvester. Rifleman with AP ammo with Tiberium Field Suits trying to kill the Ravs. He gets 1 squad but loses 3 rifles. So not too tanky, the Ravagers. They can die fairly quickly, but once they have the attack on those units, they do so much damage. So here we see how much damage this harvester takes. Basically 2 or 3 volleys and the harvester falls. Did a pretty good job here microing these Ravagers. That's his only harvester. I've got more of them coming out. Use my tip vibration scan to reveal that field, so I can get a direct harvest command on that. I see a harvester at his expansion once more. Oh, he got lucky there. I didn't use the ability, but I don't think it would have mattered. Oh, I actually see an even bigger prize here. 2 harvesters at his expansion. But here there's a couple more rifles. I need to stop him from killing me. I decided to use the Buzzer Swarm. All these instant reinforcement powers coming down for Reaper 17. I think at this point my opponent just got sick of dealing with this, as I would as well. So that's one strategy, guys, that I don't think you've seen before, and I hope you all have enjoyed that game. I enjoyed casting it. It was fun watching it back. And the first game as well had some peculiar things going on, but that one more so. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to leave me a like, and consider actually supporting me on Patreon if you want to see these videos, and it would also go far in supporting the patch that I'm going to do. I would like to say a big thank you to everyone who is already supporting me on Patreon. I haven't really advocated Patreon very much, but as of late I am seeing it more as an option, since I'm preparing to do a lot of work on the future community balance patch. Anyways, this is it for me, guys, and I hope you all have a great one. This is Master Leaf. Peace out.